Ladies and gentlemen, scrap time number 17 with Priestahh as our guest, and then a surprise guest as Zed as well, of course, joined by our co-host here, Ben Nissim. Priestahh, Zed, how you guys feeling?
It's good, bro. I'm feeling good, figuring everything out in the off season. Obviously, you guys know the news that's been out there. So other than that, I honestly just been grinding Val. I haven't been streaming much, but I've been grinding Val.
Nice, very, very nice.
Yup.
Zed, what about you? How you feeling? How you living in the off season, dude?
Honestly, pretty stressed, to be honest, man. I think mine's completely different to yours. Yeah, I mean, making like 5 phone calls a day, trying to keep everyone in the loop, all these different players.
Oh yeah.
At any given time, your roster can go like 5 or 6 different ways. So trying to keep that all juggling act, pretty much.
No, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So hopefully that comes to an end soon, and then you can actually enjoy yourself. We do have a long off season, which is very, very nice. So you will get this figured out, situated. You already got yourself a solid team already. And then, we're going to that. What are you laughing about, Ben, over there? What's up? And why is my chat spamming tweet?
Because we got some intel to talk about. It just hit the timeline a second ago. So we'll get into that later on the show. But to answer your first question, Chris, I'm having a great time. I am currently in South Carolina on a family vacation with my parents. I'm here until Sunday. I played some golf today. I went to the beach yesterday, experienced the ocean, had one too many frozen drinks. They're amazing. So
that's why you're turned today.
But I know I'm turned today, Preston, because Chris and I have been trying to do the show with you for literally what day is it? July 25th? Was it been like 5 weeks, Chris? Maybe 6 weeks?
Well, yeah, I've been trying to get this episode for a while. Ben is correct. He's not lying. He's not lying. But you're still twisted, bro. Ben, you were still twisted today, and you cannot deny it. I don't know what you're on, but
I am cracked today. I'm a little cracked, but
all right.
But yeah, no, Preston, appreciate coming on, and Zed as well. And I think we'll get right into it. Preston, I guess you can go first, and Zed, you can kind of lean in. Obviously, you guys kind of have most of your roster locked in now. Still waiting on a few pieces. Like Preston, talk about us, how it's been, how the team first formed, and then Zed, you kind of fill in from your perspective.
For me, it was kind of like when I figured out the news about my team. The first person that came to my mind was Austin. So that's kind of who I linked up with and was trying to build something with him. At first, we didn't know what org was going to be on, but the talks that we had with Boston, they went really well. Boston was very welcoming, so like we ended up ultimately going with them, and they obviously had Snoop on the team as well. So we thought that would be a good, young kid with a lot of passion, and he wants to come in and do really well. So having me and Austin kind of as the veterans with Snoop, I think is gonna work out really well.
I like that. I think you guys got yourself a solid 3. Is it true that, or am I making this up, that before Austin joined us last year, like just like Rostermania last year, before the whole New York thing and everything, weren't you talking to Austin potentially too? Or is that not true?
It might.
You remember?
Was it last Austin? I know I've actually talked to Austin a few times.
Yeah.
And it just never has ended up happening.
Mm.
I forget if it was last offseason or not, but it probably was.
I could have swore, like, I think when we were talking to Austin too, like his other options, I'm pretty sure he was thinking about teaming with you too. Like, just because you guys had such a good.
It would have to be last offseason because the season before you guys stuck on Minnesota. Like, I don't think you guys were thinking that change Cold War year, right?
No.
So
damn, if only they.
It had been last offseason then. Yeah.
And then, Zed, obviously you're a head coach of the team. Obviously, you guys have made a lot of changes since last season. Walk us through kind of after champs, how you guys kind of evaluated the roster changes and how, you've landed Preston in Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone with a brain, right, could see that we were lacking a lot in leadership, and we had a lot of players that are all disgusting in their own right, but they were just very similar. You look at Wake, you look at Beans, 2 unreal players. So we knew we had to make like a decision there straight away. Like we're like, okay, we're gonna have to go one direction or the other, and it sucks because the worst part of the job is like getting rid of people. And it wasn't until like if you go all the way back to after Jamps, like initially Austin and Preston, like they both weren't really on the market. Like, I mean, I didn't know Austin was available till a couple weeks in, so all the ideas and the rosters we planned, like, just didn't end up coming to fruition. Like, I mean, we fucking got Preston somehow. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, definitely a surprise. If you had told me like 2-3 weeks ago that we'd have Sasha and Priestahh. Probably wouldn't have believed you, but here we are.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really like, I think Chris, I don't know how you feel like, obviously because maybe you knew on the Austin side, like I'm definitely agree with you. I don't think anyone would have predicted this was going to be 3 or 4. Zed, and I mean, I don't know how you feel. Do you feel like these moves have kept the amount of skill that you had on your prior team, like that speed, that system that you want to play, but you've now brought in a little bit more leadership, more experience, people that have won champs, and you think this is what's going to help you guys get over the top and finally bring one for the Boston fans at home?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan, right? We tried 2 years in a row where coming in as, the last team, year 1, you don't really have the pick of the bunch. And then going into year 2, you don't really have appetizing players for people to want to come and join you. So for us, it's, building from the ground up. Now we have 3 unbelievable players that, have a bit of pull, per to say. Like, we can definitely go out there and people are going to be waiting for us to make a move rather than like us chasing and like getting the quote unquote leftovers. So yeah, I mean, we're in probably the best spot we've been in the 3 years. So pretty excited and happy about that.
Yeah, no, you must feel good because especially like what you said, like I feel like you guys have always been like the team that has like had the potential, like had the ceiling, but obviously, you said it before. Like I was gonna ask that question, which you already asked, was like, yeah, it was 100% like you think like a leadership thing definitely hurt a little bit because I feel like you guys always had like that ceiling of like being a team that can come out and just be disgusting, but then obviously like the lower floor sometimes, and usually that is like an experience thing or something of that sort. Because I don't think you ever really had a bad player on Boston in the sense of like talent. But again, there's just obviously so much more stuff that I'm sure you can attest to with that. So like having Austin and then Preston, I feel like you got like everything that you kind of wanted, and you obviously kept the skill too, which was what Ben was saying. Like I think you, I think you guys got a really good pick of 2 so far, and then obviously alongside Snoopy, which I kind of will talk about a little bit later. I want to hear more about him too, so I feel like he's such a mystery.
Yeah,
but like. Yeah, I feel like having those 2 around Snoopy and then whoever obviously you get your 3 or 4th, I think you guys are in a really good spot.
Yeah. I want to add one follow up to the leadership thing, and like this is a question for all 3 of you. So whoever wants to go first.
Okay.
I think people always confuse teams that you just need like one leader, but you probably all agree that leadership needs to come from multiple areas, and that's why this move like helps because you can't just have one IGL and rock, because then everybody else has to buy in. By having, say, 2 leaders and a coaching staff, like you check all the boxes you need to really build that trust in that system.
Yeah, I'll go first. But like I think like the leadership thing is 100% what you said. It can't just be one person because one person isn't all over the like all 4 players' positions on the map. Like if for example, using some of the older Boston players, like you have Nero pushed up all the way over here, but then you have Awakening back all the way over here. Like neither of them could lead each other, and it's like for the most part, like it's like kind of tough to do, like make plays and calls. And then like there's also the other leaderships too, which I feel like coaching staffs have implemented way more. Like Zed, like I'd like to hear if you agree. Like I feel like the leadership of practice and all that stuff now comes from like the culture of the coaching staff and everything else, alongside the players too, because they obviously have to follow the culture. But like that leadership is usually now done on that side. So it's like you have to get like more than just one guy to do everything for you. I don't think that's ever gonna be the way you win. But like like having like a lot of people that can make calls and be there in practice, and then also like in moments where Preston, if you're feeling something in S&D or you on a hard point, like you want to do like this like specific like rotation or play, like you can call it, but Austin might want to call something else like later in the game. And then obviously if Snoopy's like doing something, like you have to have like that rotation of like just all of that, or usually that's how it works the best. I feel like that's how you end up having the best potential.
Yeah, I feel like respawn's like impossible to have just one strict IGL, just because like there's so much happening at once that like you said, you can be across the map, you're not going to be able to micromanage anyone on the other side of the map. So it's like when it comes to leadership, I feel like S&D is probably a little bit more of like an IGL because someone like realistically you can have one person making majority of the shot calls, but obviously at the same time you're still making your plays on the map even if someone's not telling you to do it. But yeah, I agree with you. Like it kind of stems from just practice and trusting your system and learning that system, and then going in and like just reiterating in the moment. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, for us as like a coaching staff, we try and we live by the philosophy that like it's 25% each, right? At times it's going to be different, and people are going to have to do different things, but there isn't just one person because everyone's always going to be in different scenarios where they might have the most information. They're going to have to call what's going to happen and what play you're going to have to make. I think we just fell into a trap where we had too many people at one time making micro mistakes and like not being able, like we never had someone that was like a backbone that could recover. Like we would always make one mistake and then the next person would like overcompensate and make the next mistake. We never had someone that like reset and just like done the correct play and got everyone back into like a rhythm. And that's where I kind of think like the experience, the leadership comes from. And that's something, you know, I could be wrong, but I think it's very difficult to teach. I think that just comes with time playing at the top level. You know, some people are going to pick it up quicker than others, but for the most part, like, you know, you need years at the top to really understand what it takes to win. And yeah, that's kind of where I see it.
I mean, I agree with you too. And like the experience thing is like, you can't practice being in a final of champs without, you know what I'm saying? You can't practice without being in a final of a major. You can't practice without being in a really, really tight, hard point situation on the winner's final, like without doing it multiple times. You know, and obviously that takes like years and all this other stuff of experience. And it's just like kind of what you were doing, Preston. Like I sat down and watched your comms video of NYSL in like the grand finals. And like there were so many moments, even like you hear, I think you said it yourself, like I have been here before. They are gonna fuck up. They're gonna make these mistakes. Like, do not sell and let them make them. You know what I'm saying? Like make sure we stay calm. Like all that stuff. Like you can't, bro. When you were in the finals of champs in Black Ops 4, you weren't saying that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
no, dude,
that's what I mean. Like you've been there
like,
before. Like that happens a lot, and like that helps a lot too with the leadership there.
Bro, like we were in the backstage, like doing like ready, like just all waiting there to do our walkouts, and I was just sitting there thinking, and I was like, let me go back to last time I was in finals of champs, and I was like, bro, when I was in finals of champs, some plays I was making were just so brain dead, and I was like, bro, like I was like, all right, let me tell my team, like we're all sitting there, like kind of just like pacing around, like you know, just like getting ready in our own heads. And I was like, yo, I'm not gonna lie, listen, like, bro, these guys will fuck up. They're gonna try to make plays. They're gonna try to do something extra, dude. Don't overthink it and just let them just mess up, bro. And then we just kept saying that throughout the entire like series for the most part. But yeah, that's definitely came from just having that experience of being there already. And that honestly, like, I didn't know what like, cause I didn't know what else to say just because we were all sitting there not saying a word because we're going into finals of champs, right? So we're like ready to do our walkout, and I was like, bro, I gotta say something, bro. Like I gotta do, you know.
You definitely made the right call. I mean, dude, that's like that's what you guys did though, like the entire time. Like even like you can see it in the gameplay. Like even I know the Hotel Hardpoint when Kismet was playing the TV, like Hetty at the last P5, like to win, like. Bro, he was not making no mistake. He was holding that corner and he was not moving. You know what I mean? Like, and he was doing that because like I feel like a lot of you guys had such good comms of like constantly doing that stuff. And like just to do one last thing in leadership, it's like that's like the leadership that like you can't teach, like what Zed was saying. And that's something that like helps like bringing you guys in. That's something like I don't know if Snoopy right away will do something like that, obviously, but that's something that you grow up with you like through your career and you keep getting better at. So it's like, yeah, I think adding you two will help a lot with that. But yeah, that was like. Stuff like that goes so unnoticed in my opinion, and I feel like that is a huge reason why like you get to some of those bigger moments and you actually succeed. It's just like staying calm and like thinking straight. Like you said, the brain dead plays that you were making sometimes. Like bro, like sometimes you get too turnt and you start like overextending and all that stuff. So yeah, no. Hey, you guys, that comms video, if anyone watching right now has not watched that, I recommend watching that video of the finals. That was a really cool thing to listen to, like all four of you guys obviously talking stuff.
Yeah.
Well, one person who is talking is Miles. Shout out Miles who's watching us to go right there. I want to back up a second, Preston, because I know what people want us to ask, but I need to get us to the beginning of the story so we can build up to the moment. You know, you obviously, you know, the season prior in Vanguard was a funky season in Minnesota. I don't want to, or we don't need to really relitigate it to extent on here unless you want to. But in that off season, you end up on the New York team. Take us like start to finish how that journey was in New York and kind of we'll get to sort of how it ended and sort of once you get to the tail end of the story.
Yeah, so after the Vanguard year, that was probably the worst year I've had in my career probably. So after that I was like sitting there waiting for offers, nothing was really happening. And then eventually I just started reaching out to people. I think Hydra is rumored to go to Optic at some point, so I was kind of waiting for that to happen. And then eventually Hydra hit me up. I talked to him a bit. We put together the squad. There's a few options that we had, but we ended up going with this one. Obviously paid off. And then yeah, I mean we went into the year and we just did our thing. And then I mean I don't really know what else to say about it. Like we started off hot. The first major we won. next couple majors, we kind of fell off a bit, and then we bounced back, ended off strong, and then yeah, now we're here. There's nothing like too crazy about it.
Yeah, no. So Hydra hit like you and Hydra like linked up first, and then like obviously you guys kind of like formed the squad from there. I actually didn't know that. I was gonna ask like,
I know.
How did like that New York team come together? Because I feel like at first, before now that we've seen how your year went, I feel like no one expected that team to come together and become a team, and then obviously now you can see like that was obviously a great choice and all that. So it's like I didn't expect you to like obviously go through with that. And Kismet was on New York before.
Well,
so they
a roster that I was like kind of trying to form was with Major Maniac, Asim, and Paco. That was originally my roster I had in my head, because I didn't really know much about Kiz at the time and Caesar, to be honest. So I was just like coming up with rosters that I thought had potential.
Yeah, of course.
And so like those were like kind of the two rosters we were going back and forth on, but yeah, we ended up going with this one.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's because
and then Troy came in too. In the moment too, I didn't know Troy was even going to be our coach either. And then he came in, and I was like, all right, bet.
Yeah, no, and I feel like Troy was like the perfect fit for your team too. Like with that, with that personality of like that roster, I feel like that was like the perfect fit of everything.
Now when Troy came in, I was like, yo, let's go. Like,
Troy's the
this
man.
Be lit.
Yeah, Troy's fun to be around for sure.
I've asked this question to a couple of New York people that have come on the show, Preston. So I'm going to ask it again to you because I don't know your perspective on this. Chris and I have talked a lot that this New York team this season, and yourself included, came in this season with a chip on the shoulder. Was that like at the top of mind for you? Do you feel like everybody on the team, even Troy, you just mentioned, had gotten released from Optic and was, obviously feeling a certain way about that? Do you feel like that helped motivate you guys for the early start? And then, we kind of figured it out from there. I know the middle was kind of funky, but you carried to the N1 champs.
I mean, I definitely think it did. I mean, after the year I had, I definitely wanted to come back and, prove everyone wrong again. I think it was kind of the same for everyone, to be honest. Yeah, I think everyone, had struggles of years in prior than from this year. So everyone just wanted to come in and do their thing. And I mean, to be honest, like as a team, we just put in so much time. Like we were going in early, like earlier than we normally would, and then we'd go back. Everyone was watching VODs. We were just doing a lot of extra stuff. So everyone definitely put a lot of time and effort and wanted to win really bad.
Nice.
So you guys obviously get off to the hot start. You guys have some crazy shit happen to you in Major 2. If you guys haven't seen the documentary experience of you guys having travel issues and losing your clothes and controllers.
Dude, yeah, it was horrible.
I don't know who on your team decided checking controllers in a check bag, but that was a risky decision. But,
Wait, that was Hydra, right? Or was that all of you guys?
I think it was. No, it wasn't all of us. I think it was Paco. I think.
Bro, I remember that now. That was crazy. I don't think I've ever checked in my controller.
Yeah, ever. I've never done it either.
Dude, never done. I don't even think for the reason of like, God forbid they lose my bag. I don't even think it was ever for that reason. I just think like, I don't know. I feel like that always just goes in my backpack. Be like that I carry on. Like I've never put that in my bag. I forgot about that too. That was tough.
Yeah.
Well, we have someone to call that whenever you have to play tournaments had to take the longest fucking flights of all time. Zed, did you ever check a controller in your bag, or did you always?
Absolutely not. That's one thing. Like you carry in your backpack, and it's like, okay, that's my responsibility. If I break it, like if I drop my bag, that's on me. But I can't control it if it goes in a bag in like a suitcase. So
no, absolutely. Wait, Zed, were you one of the people that had a case like Preston too, a case for your controller and everything, or were you one of the people? Because there's quite a few pros. I don't know anymore. But back like when I was playing, so many people used to just like put their controller in their bag, like no case.
No, you're a psychopath if you do that.
Right? That's what I was thinking.
You'll get stick drift.
Stick drift. Yeah.
I put my main, like I have like usually I have like 2 main controllers and I have them in case, and then I'll have like a third one just in case, and I'll kind of just throw on the side.
That's fine. That's your third, bro. If you get there, the weekend wasn't your weekend anyway. If you get to your third controller,
if I'm going to my third one, like
whatever. But I've seen people just put their controller like in their bag, like back in the day, and just like pull it out. I'm like, bro, what? Like. That thing gets banged around up there in the plane. Yeah. Like, no way, dude. But yeah, that's funny. I forgot that he did that.
I used to have, like, when I bring my controller for, like, tests and stuff, I'd bring the big Battle Beaver box, but it's
those are the best.
And big. Nah, yeah, but it takes up so much fucking space, dude.
It does take space, but it's worth it, though.
No, it's worth it.
I have a smaller, what I did is I had a case that I had for, like, my Xbox Elite controller I bought 1 million years ago, and that fits a PlayStation controller. So I use that one because it doesn't take up too much space in my backpack.
Look at this
Man,
one right there.
Listen, dude.
That
Yeah,
case
it's
right there.
big.
Hey,
This
look.
shit is so big, bro. Like,
Look.
you put it in a backpack and it's massive.
Bro, this thing is huge, but it keeps your controller protected. And listen,
There's a lot.
no
there's a lot of
sponsors
foam
involved
there.
here, but like this is the best controller case you can get. Bro, I always used to use this one because this thing actually like protects your controller. The other ones, like I feel like even like the scuff ones. Yeah, no sponsorship involved here. But yeah, freaking did not protect it like that. Those cases are godlike, space or not. Best.
Yeah, no.
But anyway,
Cody
getting
Code Crowder.
getting back on track. You guys have some bullshit that goes down to Boston. You do your best. Major 3 obviously wasn't the best of experiences.
Yeah, that was just our
Um,
least prepared major by far. We just weren't prepared at all for that one.
What happened with the preparation there? Was that just like outside of game issues or just sort of?
No, I don't think
how
it
the
was
season
outside
goes?
I don't think it was outside of game issues. I definitely think we could have probably put more effort and time into, like getting there early, going in a private match, going over stuff, like just any extra effort we could have probably put in. We really didn't for that major, I would say.
So like after that event with Major 4 coming up, the event in
Yeah.
Columbus, which the New York organization had won the previous year, was that like a big reset major for you guys, or did the big thing really come after Major 4, like after you guys lost the face?
I mean, after we lost major 3, we're like, all right, we got to do something. So like we went back, and that's definitely where we started putting in a lot of extra time, getting there early, going over stuff, going to private match, like literally just doing everything we could. And I think the biggest thing that we did was we kind of kept it going from before Major 4 all the way to the end of champs. Like we didn't go early just a couple days. Like at first we started going in early a couple days, but then over time we just started going early every single day. Like we were just naturally doing it. Like everyone wanted to go early, put in that time, get better as a team. And even after we won Major 4, we're like, all right, we can't stop doing that. It worked. Let's keep doing it. So we went back after Major 4 and we kept going in early, kept doing that extra work. And I think that was the biggest thing, was that no one kind of slacked off after.
Yeah, yes, you guys were locked, and obviously at that
Yeah.
point, you guys made a pretty big run. Obviously, culminating with you guys having the most dominant champs final performance I've ever seen. Like that shit was crazy.
No, that was nuts.
So shout out to you guys. I mean, you guys were a number 1 team last year. Probably when it's all said and done, probably one of the best esports teams this current calendar year season. We'll see if you guys win the awards for anything. Before I ask you about the off season, I need to ask you a question that's going to give context to this off season. So coming in, as you mentioned, coming this year, you joined New York for the first time. So you were on a 1+1. Hydra signed a new deal, 1+1. Caesar came over from Florida, 1+1 new deal. Were you guys aware of the situation with Kiz and his contract? And was there ever any outreach from the New York organization to extend you guys after the Major 1 win, or resolve sort of the hanging year left over in Kismet's contract before he become a free agent?
Wait, you're asking after Major 1 if they reached out for something?
Before, but like in the beginning of the year. So like, with a lot of teams, right, they activate the 1+1 option and they get everybody to sign a new deal, right? Give them a raise or whatever. Was there any early contract conversations in the New York camp, or did that conversation really never start until the offseason?
I mean, not for me. I don't know about the other guys, but that wasn't a conversation with me at all.
So walk us through like immediate steps after champs, right? You guys win, you guys party in Vegas for a little bit, all of that. And then that at that point, like you're waiting to see if you get your option picked up. Like walk us through now sort of the events that occurred in the weeks after champs.
So I mean, after champs, I stayed in Vegas for a couple days, just drank, partied a little bit, had some fun with family and friends.
A lot of partying in Vegas.
A lot of partying.
Yeah, lots of drinks, Hey, I didn't go too bad down in gambling either, so that's a W.
Listen, your parents love Vegas.
Wait,
I know that.
how much did you go
Your
down?
parents love Vegas.
How much did we lose?
I think I ended up down probably like 1,200, 1,000 around there.
Wait, that's actually not bad. After
Yeah, no, I was
after winning
down-
champs, dude. Yeah, that's
Bro,
not bad.
No, I was down like 2,500, and then dude, literally at the last night, I had like $800 in my pocket, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, dude. Like I just threw it all on red. I won, and then I just dipped. I was like, all right,
Smart.
we're back up a little bit. Like,
Listen,
let's
there's
get it.
there's a part in the podcast where we say if you gamble responsibly. Yes. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, don't do what I did. That doesn't normally work.
Don't throw all your shit on red. That's a bad idea.
No, yeah, don't do that.
That is less than 50% of my knowledge. But okay, so you get back from Vegas, you're waiting to hear if you get your option picked up, waiting to see if you're gonna, get that extended. Like walk us through what happens as Tommy comes in with a sub. Totally undoing my PSA, but go ahead.
No, yeah. So basically, after I came back from champs, I thought everything was fine, and then New York kind of came back to me with a contract, and I was kind of like confused about it. I'm not gonna go into numbers or anything, but basically the contract they sent, I wasn't really like happy with, I guess, or like I wasn't really expecting it. So I was in like negotiations with them for a little bit. And eventually, a lot of people, because a lot of people thought the contract just fell through, but eventually the team just ended up deciding they wanted to go a different direction. So it wasn't due to a contract issue. We would have eventually figured that out, but it was just the decision on the team. I don't know exactly how the conversation went or whatnot, because I didn't really talk to them about exactly why they made the decision. So I was kind of just waiting for them to talk about it and give their 2 cents on it. But yeah, I mean, eventually me and New York would have came to a conclusion on the contract. We would have figured it out. But yeah, they just decided to go a different direction. And like I said, I don't know why. I don't know what made them make that decision, but they did. So
So like, was there like a point? Because this always gets weird with players.
Mm.
Like, were you talking to your boys in the days after champs, and at some point
Yeah.
that group text went silent? Is that kind of something that happened here?
I mean, I was letting them know like, hey, listen, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't signed yet because I'm in negotiations with New York. I was letting them know like kind of from my perspective what was happening. And then yeah, I mean, towards the end, I mean, we weren't really like talking back and forth because that's the only thing that was happening on my end. I didn't know this was happening in the back end. They didn't really
Yeah.
tell me. No one told me anything, obviously. So I was kind of keeping them updated on what was happening in my situation, and then just towards the end, they just kind of, they all texted me after the decision was made. So
Do you think there's something you should have done differently, or do you think this is just kind of how the business goes sometimes?
the only thing I could have done different was probably just accept the first contract I got. I would assume that's the only way it would have worked, probably. But even then, it's like I don't. Even then, it's a weird situation because if I just got the contract and just instantly accepted it, that's literally the only way for it to work. And even at that point, like if the team didn't want to play with me, I would rather not even have done that. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, listen, you gotta look out for your end. Like, you just won
Yep.
champs. Like, you have
Yeah.
leverage, but it's obviously interesting to hear that it seems like, and maybe this is a scenario, and obviously you don't know, and we'll have to get the New York guys to ask that, was it worth it for them to wait out the contract situation and have the uncertainty,
Mhm.
or do they just want to commit to someone else and kind of move forward with that? I guess we'll need to find out that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you like, how do you like, do you still friends with like Paco and Caesar and kids and just accept it's just a piece of the business, or are you like kind of a little bit not on cool terms with them right now?
It's a weird situation because I mean, I was pretty close with all the guys. Like, I mean, I had a fun time. I had a good year. Like, I enjoyed my time there. I had no bad blood with any of them, but it's a weird situation because it just felt so random to me, and I didn't understand why, and no one gave me an explanation why. No one really talked to me about it. Like, if I could have done something different, you know what I mean? Like, there was no conversation. So it's like, for me, like, I don't know, it just kind of hit a weird spot for me. It's like I like all the boys on the team, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it just felt like I got backstabbed in a way almost. I don't know.
I mean, it's
So
not,
like when you found it, go ahead, Chris.
no, I was gonna say it's like I mean, like backstab. Yeah, the weird thing I guess that you guys have been going back and forth. I've been letting you guys obviously have the conversation.
okay.
It's just like
Yeah.
I feel like it was like the weird thing is just like it kind of happened like the way from your perspective it happened out of nowhere. Like there was no like
Yeah.
talking. They upset like there was
Yeah.
no like.
That's literally what it was. Like no one no one came up to me and talked to me about anything. It just happened. Like I was like trying to be open about what was happening in my situation and letting them know exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that just came out of nowhere, and I was like, wow, like because I was literally about to sign pretty much the contract that New York was offering me.
That's what I thought was going to
they told
happen.
me.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought was going to happen because the initial contract that they offered you or whatever,
Mhm.
like, and if it's not something, you just win champs.
Yeah.
If you're going, like downgrading or whatever the numbers are, like you're sitting there like,
Mhm.
well, that, let's talk about this. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having that conversation, like
Yeah.
business wise, because that's just like you trying to get the best for yourself. And then after that, it's like, that's not you not wanting to play with the team. That's like you wanted to get the best for yourself and then like see like what goes on. And then freaking, yeah, it's like, it's weird that like it kind of happened out of nowhere in the sense of like, hey, even if it's like, hey, we're going a different way because we want to,
Yeah.
do X,
Even
Y, or
if they
Z.
told-
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
even if
We think this is better for the team. It is what it is. But like, I feel like it's kind of crazy after winning that. Like, it just kind of happened out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, even if they came up to me and was like, "Yo, we think we're gonna be better with X,
Yeah,
Y, and Z.
is what it is.
Like
Yeah.
this is I've been like, all right, but like you know what I mean? Like I feel like I was being open, and then it just happened. Like I was telling them what was going on, and then they didn't tell me. So I don't know. It's just a weird situation.
Preston, I got a question from Tommy Zuma, who's in our chat. Not barging into our Discord today. Last show we did. Tommy just barged in and started talking about random stuff. Tommy asked me to ask you,
Yeah.
if you know if in response to your contract negotiation, obviously kids signed a new deal. Did you have a conversation with any players? You know if the players in any conversation with the orgs about taking a pay cut to support keeping the team together?
I mean, I have no idea. I know I had talked with Troy, and he was basically telling me, he's gonna try to figure things out. But I don't know if that meant like any players taking a pay cut. But from my understanding, I don't think that was a conversation. And if it was, then I don't. Obviously, it didn't happen. So
Well, I feel like since it came out of nowhere, I feel like that definitely wasn't like a big conversation,
Yeah.
right? Like like with what everything that Preston just
Yeah.
said. I feel
and like
it
I
didn't
said,
even-
like I don't know. I don't even know the reasoning why it happened. So like none of them really told me. I mean, they reached out to me and like basically said, like good things about me, like you're a good teammate. I'm sorry I had to go down this way, but like I still don't know exactly the reasoning. So I mean, like I said, I just kind of been waiting for them to speak up about it whenever they want to.
No, you did have some teammates like since stuff developed. You obviously broke down. Obviously, you're on
Mhm.
Boston now. You did have some teammates reach out or coaches reach
Yeah.
out and try and patch up relations, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to all of them. Not
Okay.
not on the phone. Like it's kind of just been through text. And
Okay.
it hasn't been that much. But I mean, they all reached out after, which is why it's confusing. Cause like I don't know why. Like it's so weird because like they all said nice things, and like we still have a good like friendship, good relationship over there. But it's just such a weird situation because like obviously I got dropped, so it's like damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely. I have a couple ideas. Like that, this is a weird one because it's like who made the decision? Is it the
Yeah.
players? Did management make the decision? If the players are telling you that, it's like a cyclical
Nah,
story that you
I don't
can't
think it. I don't
can't
think it was
figure it out.
management. I don't think it was management. I think it was
Okay.
just a. I think it was just an overall team decision. Like they probably just had a couple conversations about it, and maybe started off slow, and then someone might have said something, and then maybe like they start convincing each other. That's just my guess. Maybe someone like had the idea of making this happen, and then like said something, and then it sparked others' interest, and then it kind of just like domino affected, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's do it."
Yeah.
I just want to address something in chat real quick, and then Chris and Zed, I want you guys to weigh in because you're both former players and obviously front office people. I don't think people in the chat understand that sometimes these roster decisions and the messaging around it is not always super easy, and unfortunately, players make a lot of mistakes. I think Chris, you probably have some stories like that. Zed, you probably have some stories as well, and
Mistakes like how?
like a lot of
You talking
just in the way that things are messaged or presented in these situations, like people either skip steps or don't do steps at all, and miscommunications happen. And unfortunately, I always see the same mistakes happening every Rostermania because people sometimes don't want to have difficult conversations. What do you think about
Well,
that, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of times, like, what's it called? A lot of times when stuff happens, like, players don't, well, no one really likes having that conversation of telling someone that they're either gone or whatever it is of that sort,
Yep.
or like anything. And then, like, players also don't always make up their mind quickly at all. Like, say, like, they, like, think about it and they have their conversations between each other and stuff and then try and figure it out from there. But yeah, like I don't know if that's like mistakes. Is sometimes like players are just trying to figure it out like with themselves, and obviously depending on management, like it depends on like how like who starts the process and like gets the ball rolling, kind of. You know what I mean? But without being said, like I mean, Zed, I'm gonna ask you this, and then we'll talk about it. I just feel like every organization now is probably definitely a little bit different. But like when it comes to like a roster move and stuff too, like management and coaching staffs are always going to have a lot of say, and technically speaking, the management will always have the final say. Like if they actually want to make the move or not. But like I also feel like a big thing is just like how the team feels too. Like if 3 players come to you and say we want this person and not this person for like good reason, and it's not some fucking crazy out of the outlandish thing, like
Yeah.
usually that's how it goes. Then like is that a fair thing to say? Like or at least from your perspective now being a player and a coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think Boston have been pretty fortunate position where like the rosters we've built, like we're not coming off a world championship winning team that like 3 players might like revolt against 1 player, right? We've always been the core of like building the roster. We've definitely had hard decisions to make. I mean, mid-season, I look at Reese. Reese is probably one of the closest people I was with when he was on the roster, and I had to drop him twice. It's never fun. never easy.
Yeah.
You know, in the off season, it's definitely a little bit easier to do that rather than mid season because you know these players have more opportunities to go out there. There's 11 other franchises, but mid season it's very difficult for them to like get back on a team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much that goes into it that people don't realize, as you guys said. So many politics between players of this guy doesn't want to play with this guy, and then you know that ends up costing the first guy his initial spot. And there's just again so much that goes into it, and a bit of a headache sometimes, but you do the best you can and try and make it work. I mean, even our roster building at the moment, like Preston can attest, like we get everybody in the call. Like it's going to be a team decision. You know, there's no overruling factor. We lay the facts out. We look at, you know, who's going to be the best fit for our team. And Preston has a voice. Austin has a voice. Eric has a voice. And, you know, we come together as a team and decide that way.
Yeah. And even with that, it's like, you know, everyone has their own voice. And obviously certain people are going to think, you know, like want things more like, you know, like if it's two people want this person, one person wants this person, and you guys all talk, it's like, all right, we can do, they could go down this route. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be like, it's usually not always like fully like one unanimous decision that's like perfect for everybody. But yeah, no, because this, the way I view it is like this is a theory. I don't know. I do see like the snakes thing. Like you like, bro, like at the end of the day, like I like it, like what a team wants to do is what a team wants to do. I definitely think having that conversation of why was weird to me, Preston. Like what you were saying, like you don't even like really know like why, whether it's not they thinks Sim's just a better fit or you know whatever it is. Like, but
assuming that's who they
like,
pick him up.
But that, well, yeah,
assuming.
of course, yeah. That's obviously.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I usually like what happens is just players talk to each other, they talk to the coaching staff, and they just kind of make the move from that. It's very rare where like management just goes like, no, we're not playing with this guy anymore. Like you have to do this. Yeah, because like again, like that just makes like if you force someone onto a team, if the team doesn't start off hot and win, which is obviously possible, usually that goes down the drain pretty quickly. So yeah, no, I feel like whatever the opportunity was, they just decided that they wanted to go that way and go from that. W leak, guys. That's no one's heard of that room before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway, before we move to one final question, we'll talk some Rostermania stuff. First off, Preston, like, want to give you the floor. Is there anything else you want to say about the New York stuff? Like, feel free to now, or you feel like you've gotten kind of everything you want to say off the chest, and you're just kind of waiting to see if people want to mend bridges going forward. / you're going to shoot their bodies this season.
No, I mean, like I said, like I said, it was just a weird situation because we had such a good year, and then obviously all this happened. It just felt weird for me. It's like it's a situation I've never been in, so I'm like, holy shit. But like I said, we had a good year, had good times over there. I mean, we made good connections, and I mean, I can't really do anything about it now, so I'm kind of just looking forward to playing on Boston and moving to Boston and getting work done with these guys and having Austin as my AR duo now too. I'm glad that worked out, and just kind of looking forward to everything and try to get chips for Boston pretty much.
I like it. Well, they let you go from New York to their rival team, so nice move on that one. So you guys don't have a full roster yet. We got a lot of fans in my chat, Chris's chat. I'm sure Tommy's watching right now as well. Who are you guys, like, you don't have to say the player, obviously, you don't want to leak it, but like what, you know, understand that Snoopy's a young player, raw player, the things that you bring, that Austin brings, like what kind of player are you trying to bring to that like fourth spot on the roster? Whichever between you and Pred and Zed, whichever one of you guys wants to go first.
I mean, for us, like the way the roster's panned out with like Austin and Preston is like we have so much experience already. We, you know, for us when we went into this offseason, it was like, okay, let's try and get at least 2 experienced players and match them with like, if we want to like less experienced like risks, if you want to call them risks. And like now we're in a position where we have the 2. We can go so many different directions where we could go and get another experienced sub player to play alongside Eric. We can take more of a risk with a younger player, someone in the amateur scene maybe. We can go so many different ways, and it's just about, you know, making everybody happy. We want everyone coming into this year like full faith in the roster, like full trust, and just excited to play and build that culture from like the beginning. A big thing we, you know, kind of fucked up on this year as, you know, coaching staff is the culture, and nothing we can do about the past now, but all we can do is be better in the future, and that's something we're striving to be better at, and it starts from the off-season roster build. So
wait, to talk about your culture, I feel like from the outside looking in, at least, again, like you said what you said, like I feel like you guys are always on time though, and it seemed like you guys were always like pretty fucking on time, like ready to go. It seemed like you guys were already like watching VODs and stuff before we'd always play. You guys are one of the few scrims that I think if we ever scrimmed against you guys, like I just knew there would be like no bullshit going right. You know what I mean? Like no bullshit. Like it's like always like ready to go. And I feel like you guys are always like usually like watching a VOD or some shit. But I mean, in culture, like I guess culture wise, like what more like do you think you can improve on in a sense? I guess if, without saying too much, of course, if you don't.
Yeah,
want to.
I mean, I mean, we did enjoy playing you guys. You know, having an on-time scrim was definitely rare. You know, the New York team, they showed up late a few times last season.
Yeah, the
definitely
New York
had
team
them
was
in
the
my
worst.
Books. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I can control. You know, everyone be there on time. You know, I'm not looking to be strict and be someone's like dad, but that's one thing you can control is like, you know, we're East Coast, it's 2 p.m. You know, if you're not
East Coast,
if you're not ready,
yeah.
You know, we would always set like a precedent, like, yo, be in the facility by 1 p.m. That gives you guys an hour to like eat your food, hang out. Like, one thing I don't want to do is have 4 players that only know each other like during scrims. You know, I want them to like, you know, even if you're messing around, like, you know, Beans would always be doing like wordles and the guys would gather around and just have a laugh, right? Just spend time together. And, you know, looking at the culture, I think one thing we did kind of make a mistake on was the amount of roster changes. I think everybody knows that.
Yeah, that's hard to keep a culture like that, dude. You know, like it becomes pretty tough.
Looking back, like, you know, I think there was a video that went out on the Boston channel, and I think Den said it pretty well. Is like, we made the roster changes for the right reasons, but it just didn't pan out the right way. You know, it was always to try and win. We could have easily been 4th to 8th team the entire season, but we're trying to win. And if we believe the roster change could have maybe pushed us further towards that, we're willing to take that risk. Obviously, looking back, you learn from your mistakes. We made too many. I think that's obvious. No one needs to tell us that. But again, it was all for the right reasons. And luckily, now going forward, we don't have to make that same mistake again and can hopefully build off what we have.
No, that's fair. Yeah, because that's what I was curious too. Like, I think you definitely got. I mean, I can speak for Preston and Austin in the sense of I've also been working with them. But you got a very good team in the sense of that kind of culture too. Like, I don't think you won't struggle from that. And like, obviously, you're being hard on yourself just because of, you know, that's like you just always want to become better at what you do. And same thing for all of us like here. But like, yeah, bro, it's hard to keep a culture sometimes with those roster changes. And at the same time, like, I also feel like when you're in certain positions, like you want to try and do the best that you can to like obviously get a championship. So sometimes like you try and make those changes to like push towards that goal. Yeah, there is probably a line where it is too much, but at the same time, like it's hard to make the right like call when it is and when it's not too much. Because like 100 Thieves did the same thing in Cold War. You know what I mean? In a little bit different of a fashion, but like because you guys were probably way better, like doing way better than them at the time. But like it's just the same thing. It's like that's a really hard thing to navigate through and do it perfectly, if not at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like just because of just how much pressure you also feel like to try and, you know, like try and get this team to do as best as possible. So like, yeah, I think you guys did a pretty good job, like regardless of the case. Because I was gonna say I wanted to ask this earlier, but like I think this is the right time too. It's like I feel like when you guys lost Zinni, do you think that hurt you guys more than like it let off, or like not at all in the sense of like experience and leadership and stuff? Like I feel like Zinni like was that guy that you kind of had that you can lean on for a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about in this episode. And I feel since you lost him, I feel like that kind of started all of what you're saying now. And I don't think that's as much as on, you know, you guys, you know, like as well as it's just a really tough scenario. Like, is that, do you feel like that or what?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, looking back, I was like, we're good. Like, you know, Zin's retired. It's sad. It's whatever, but we have Beans. We're good. Like, looking back, I was like, you know, Zin's not as much of a leader as people say, but looking back now, I'm like, okay, he was a leader in his own right. He was a leader outside the game. He got the guys together. Like, he was that jokester, the funny guy that always wanted to go out to eat.
All-time Vibes FC player. All-time Vibes FC player.
And like, you know, so looking back, I'm like, you know, he wasn't that in-game leader that, you know, your Lamars, your Austins and people like that, but he was a leader in his own right. And like, that was so undervalued. And like, I didn't see that at the time. So yeah, I mean, we definitely hurt, like looking back. yeah, I mean, for me, it's like every mistake we make just helps me be better as a coach. And
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Bringing Preston, bringing Austin, they're coming from New York, who've got a great coaching staff. FaZe, great coaching staff. They were both like on LA Thieves with the coaching staff, so like they're going to be bringing so much more to like myself, Josh, and Dens that we can like put into our system. So I'm just more excited for that. Like we've got great knowledge coming to Boston, and hopefully can be a fan favorite again. Because yeah, we work too hard to be the villains.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm super excited. Like a couple months from now, I'm sure we'll talk. I can't wait for you to work with Preston and Austin because they're two of the like some of the like my favorite people to coach just because of how easy they are to work with and obviously how smart they are. So I'm sure we'll have a conversation later in the year. I can't wait to hear like what you think because yeah, I think you guys are set up for such a good season right now with like the roster that you guys have, and I'm super excited for your team to obviously form and do good. So yeah. What's up, Ben?
One last question because Sackman's putting this one in the chat.
Wait,
this one's an interesting one.
Is it a good one or is it a Sackman question?
No. It's a good. I will say this. I love Sack. Some of y'all talk shit about Sackman, but he's my boy. This is a good question, Preston. There were a lot of rumors, people assuming that you didn't want to run a sub this year or maybe last year. Like, you want to speak on that? Do you think Flex is your preferred role? But like, if you were presented a team situation where you had to run a second sub, like, would you have done it? Or?
I mean, a lot of people don't know, but like in Minnesota, or not Minnesota, in Vanguard, when I was on Minnesota, when we were doing the team trials, the team that I thought was best was actually when I had a second sub. And I was actually trying to run a second sub going into this year. But obviously that worked out in my favor. I do think a flex is probably what I'm best at. If I can go back and forth, I think that is definitely my preferred role. But depending on the team, if I have a good team around me and I can run a second sub, I don't think I'd be bad at it. I definitely think right now flex is my preferred though.
We also know you can run main AR as we saw at World War II champs. So this is what I always tell people. It's like Preston is like one of those like can run any role type players.
Well,
and you've ran everything from main to a grapple sog these days. So
well, dude, you've literally ran like every role. And dude, World War II was crazy because you went from our main sub to a flex to an AR. We switched roles at the end of World War II. You were our main AR.
Yeah, I was main.
And I was our main sub with Tommy. And Dylan switched to our flex. But then Dylan
forgot about that.
But dude, I had this conversation the other day. Do you remember that Dylan didn't like running an AR on London Docks though? He every other map. So I went from being a sub, but on London Docks I went back to being an AR with you. Like, bro,
I don't remember that.
Bro, at the end of champs, on like if we were to play Ardennes Forest or St. Marie, I ran a sub with a smoke. But if we played London Docks, I ran an AR with you, and he ran a sub because like he was more. Dude, we like just, and we were actually good at hardpoint. We were nasty at hardpoint at that
event. Like, the pause on this is we went from being an Anaheim horrific at hardpoint to you guys. I think your hardpoint record.
We were the best hardpoint. We were the best hardpoint team. Yeah, so. But no, dude, like it's crazy. You've literally ran every role, and have done well. Like, bro, you got top 3 at the main AR role. Well, like, obviously World War II. You won championships in the other 2. And listen, I don't care. This is so off topic, but that Vanguard Minnesota team was absolutely criminal, and anything on that team doesn't count.
Yeah, no, we were pretty chopped. We were pretty chopped that year.
I'm trying to look for this play right now on Berlin Hardpoint. Do you remember who that was, Preston?
Oh my god!
When you were in the hill. Wait, when you were in the last hill, the P5, like the middle hill, like the last hill.
What happened?
It was a P2, wasn't it? It was a P2 third rotation.
It was P5. I remember it specifically. It was P5. Preston was like by like broken area, like towards the hill. One teammate was like BS and D. One teammate was like Glass Hall, and like someone else was like pushed up like fire. And I was like, "Yo, they're spawning behind you." I can't find it, but I remember watching that with you. That team was criminal.
Yeah, no, we just
you guys just did not click. Yeah, you guys did not click.
We were very split on how we wanted to play the game. There was like 3 of us that wanted to play a certain way, 3 of us that wanted to play the other way. Like split between coaches and players.
Yeah.
And like we would like say like okay, like we come to the point where like we agree with each other, but I don't think we fully agreed with it. You know what I mean? So just like threw it off.
Well, dude, there's times where like you agree, but yeah, like agreeing and then like actually like believing in like what you're saying, like not just like settling and be like, bro, I just don't want to hear you argue anymore. Like we'll just do it your way. That's where I feel like when instincts kick in, you're gonna do it your way, and it's gonna be a problem. Obviously, like in a match. I feel like that like needs to like really like get down to the wire of like that for it to actually work. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No one, and not just you, by the way. I'm not just defending you. Like, anyone on that team that you guys just didn't click, I feel like, cannot be judged from that year. That was like such a.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm
awkward
telling you, we
thing.
would have done way better if, in my opinion, I think we would have done way better if we kept Mike and just put me on a sub with, who was that at the time? Maybe
Was it
Colt,
Eli
I think.
or Colt? I don't even remember.
No, it was one of the
Eli,
two.
yeah.
Well, when we were doing like the
The trials?
the trials, yeah, when we were doing the trials, because we tried both of them. We tried like pretty much every like scenario, but I personally thought we would have done better with that team, but who knows? Maybe we would have done worse. You never know.
Yeah, no judgment from that. Move on, Ben.
Let's move on. It's funny we're talking about the Minnesota ROKKR. Let's talk about some other teams that you're not on, and a team that was actually at the beginning of the show put on the timeline by Jacob Hale. So pretty reputable source. He's for BT Romano or COD or whatever. He tweeted before the show started, Minnesota ROKKR are targeting and I know you guys maybe are hearing this for the first time. Minnesota ROKKR are targeting a roster of Accuracy, Big Wake, Reese Vivid, and Linz for the 2023-24 season. Contract's not signed yet, but it's the 4 that they want, and it's looking positive. So
this is what you leaked, huh?
I didn't leak anything. I don't
You leaked. This is what you leaked in your DMs, huh? That's what you leaked.
I didn't leak anything.
He's teasing right now.
Oh, he's
I don't know what you're
teasing.
talking about.
All right, Preston. Preston, what do you think? Sorry, Ben. I had to make sure that was
No,
you.
it's all good.
What do I think of the team? You said Lamar, Wake, Vivid, and Linz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Vivid. I don't know how fast of a player Linz is. I don't know much about Linz. I know Vivid's obviously a fast player. Wake. I mean, honestly, it's not gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be as bad as a team people would think it is. Wakening can obviously shoot. Vivid's gonna run around, do his thing, put up a lot of numbers. I think Linz is gonna be like kind of the factor. Lamar's gonna be pretty consistent. I think it just kind of comes down to how if Linz comes in and if he's just like insane or not.
I mean, he's pretty good in challengers this year. I'm curious, like, if you guys thought about Linz this offseason. Like, that whole Wobobs team looked pretty good online. They had some iffy lane performances, but looked better towards the end of the season. I'm just curious of your thoughts on the player.
Yeah, I mean, definitely on our radar. I mean, Dens does pretty good scouting, if you want to call it that. You know, he knows everyone that's available. For us, I mean, we have Eric, we have Snoopy. You know, again, that's another route we can take if we want to take 2 young players and we have 2 experienced ARs. Like, that's a route we can take if we want to. We'll see. I mean, that Minnesota team isn't actually that bad. I mean, we spoke to Lamar in the offseason, and I like his like philosophy and the way he thinks. You know, I know he gets a lot of shit from the fans and stuff, but I'll be interested just to see how that coaching staff pans out. You know, and what kind of they do.
Yeah, there's a lot. The Minnesota camp this offseason is a lot of uncertainty about the team, uncertainty about the coaching staff, uncertainty even about the org. They've had a couple rounds of layoffs now. Rumors that for a while, and I haven't heard anything recently about maybe G2 coming in and being involved in some level of V1. We know that leadership at version 1, which is the parent organization of the Minnesota ROKKR, has spoken at the beginning of the year about merging with the bigger org and kind of growing things. So I'm curious. I agree with you, Zed, on what's going on there. And just speak on the Lamar thing, and then I want to kind of get your thoughts, Chris. A lot of people are putting some like Lamar sucks in the chat and this and that. Look, Lamar is not going to come in and give you like a 1.5. That's not what he's on the team to do. Lamar is going to, and I think what Lamar has done best in his career is utilize players in, especially potential star players that are raw and putting them in really good roles and making them shine. He did that with Pharaoh. He did that with Kenny. He did it with Pred like 2 years ago. And I feel like that's a really good specialty of Lamar. I think you can maybe do it with Linz and even Reese, who I think Reese has played pretty good in his career so far, but I think there's still a level that Reese can get to. And I'll be honest about Seattle. Lamar's never going to say it. People in Seattle are never going to say it. There were a lot of factors and reasons as to why that team didn't play this season. And I don't think they're really on Lamar's shoulders as to why they're so. Chris, I'm curious your thoughts on the roster.
I like it. I think so. I like Lamar and Awakening. I have a question about Vivid. Like, not a question, but like just curiosity that I'll ask probably Zed if you want to answer like in a second. But I have no knowledge of Linz. I'm assuming Linz is good. If Lamar is looking at him and they've watched his gameplay, Lamar's got a pretty good idea of like the eye test. He can usually predict who's going to be pretty good. And I'll say one thing. I think any team that has Lamar on it, the way he like kind of sets up the system, he will make either Vivid or Linz really, really good. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna make them play very, very well. Like he's gonna like get them out there like going rogue and stuff. Like his system has always been pretty solid in that sense. But I think this is like a really big step right now for Awakening's career. We've talked about it a couple times. And I think Awakening can shoot with the best. I've talked about him on this a couple of times now. I think he's really talented. I think in scrims he's a absolute demon. I think he goes crazy in scrims with like the way he chows and the way he can do it. And like I truly do believe in him. I really do. I think he's really good. But like I think sometimes in matches or whatever it is, I feel like he like takes less of those risks. That's always been like my opinion on him. Like I guess I like the roster. I think they have a lot of potential, but I have the question of like, am I like how correct is that opinion, or like, you know, how much can you give Zed, like in the sense of like what do you think about Wake, because I know you've worked with him a lot. And then like on top of that too, like I think with Vivid, as long as he works with Lamar well, I think this team will be good. But those two, I've known, again, this is a rumor, I haven't really talked to Reese myself too much, but I know that Reese can also be very like outspoken and like, you know, he wants to play certain ways and stuff. With Lamar, that's, you know, like they're going to go back and forth, which it could be the best thing ever if they align, or if it could also be like a, you know, a shit show. So if that isn't as much of an issue, I think they actually have the potential to be really good. But I do like this team the most because I think Lamar will help Wake a lot in his career. And I think that he'll also help either Vivid and or Linz, like, you know, kind of flourish more. But could you like tell me more about Awakening, or tell everybody more about Awakening? I feel like he's so quiet, Zed.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I feel like that's what I'm saying. I feel like no one knows about him. So it's like, what do you like,
I mean,
what do you think of that?
First off, he's gross, right? We all know that.
Yes.
You know, there's a few reasons why he's not on our roster. I mean, you know, like I said, there's multiple different directions you can go.
Of course, yeah.
Again, I think he just needs what a lot of these players that have been on Boston needs, including Reese, is I feel like they just need someone that they look up to and like respect.
Mm.
You know, I think Lamar can be that guy. You know, Lamar will tell you to your face in person. He'll have no problem saying something to you, right?
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
I think that'll be really good for Joe and really good for Reese. You know, they need someone to hold them accountable, and again, someone that they look up to and be like, look, you know, you've won championships, you've done it. Like out of the three of us, you've probably done it the most recent. You know, let's just have a bit of respect. You know, unfortunately, we had a lot of young players that there was no real, you know, statue like that in our team where we had Zin. People look up to Zin, some people don't. I mean, everyone has their thing about Zin. I think he's great, but yeah, I mean, I'll be really interested to see how they do. Again, that having someone to look up to, I think is going to be really big for both of them. So
yeah, you know, because I always felt like he was obviously really good and stuff, and I do think like with his career, and again, like there's always other ways you can go and stuff with like your team, and that makes total sense. It's like, yeah, I think having someone like Lamar might elevate his game like one more time, like with that and stuff too. So it's like I do think that will be really good, and especially because like, yeah, Lamar is also like, as much as shit as people give Lamar, and like, you know, I understand like where people come from with the stats and all that stuff. I get it, but like Lamar consistently finds a way, like when he builds a team, to usually make it work for the most part, and like, you know, like get a team or players around him to be the best versions of themselves. And I think with some of the players that he's working with right now, that could be like literally the best thing for him. Obviously, even you said like maybe even Reese, like that could actually help them a lot, because Lamar definitely, when it comes down to it, like he knows what he's talking about. He knows how to win in Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows like how to get it done in that sense. So I think that could be like the best thing to help some of those guys around him. So I'm curious to see how the team plays. I mean, I think the coaching staff will also be important, and there's a few things, but that's definitely not. I was not expecting that roster to be formed at all, to be honest, but that's definitely interesting.
I'll be curious too, because I know Linz doesn't speak that fluent of English, right?
Yeah,
so like
that could also be an issue.
I wonder how fast, because I know obviously Paco did it. He learned English pretty quickly. I wonder how fast he'll be able to learn that as well.
Yeah. Is his English like how good?
It's not. I don't think it's like horrible, but I don't think it's not like completely clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
I think just another big thing for Reese. You know, as you know, we have listenings and stuff. Like, Reese is very vocal, and I
Yes.
think having one thing he didn't have when he was on Boston is he didn't have a vocal AR that was like could take that pressure off Reese's shoulders. So I'll be interested to see how Reese performs when he doesn't have to talk as much because, you know, talking and playing at the pace he does is very difficult.
It's almost impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be, it might make him a bit more consistent as a player. And you might see a different side of Reese that he's shown so far.
Yeah, he had done a bit at Dallas Empire that last year of Empire with Ender's definitely chatty when he wants to be chatty, and Krim obviously speaks his mind. So, I mean, let's call how it is. Like they said, they kind of built the Boston Breach without Zen, plus Lamar, and without Nero with Linz. So I'm curious kind of how it's going to work. I don't think it's a bad roster. I think obviously people have strong feelings about Lamar in the community, and it is what it is. I think that Wake's the massive opportunity for Wake to have to step up. He's either going to feast in this opportunity and it's going to click, or he's going to be one of those people in the history of COD that's had supreme gunny but never put it together to be an elite player up there with the best. And Linz is a raw talent. I'm curious to see how he pairs with Reese, but like this could be a sneaky good S&D team. And Lamar is just Lamar finds a way to make teams like this work. People always count him out, and he always finds ways to place well. So to everybody I assume on Reddit and on Twitter that are talking crap about this roster, it's tough to build that kind of roster in the situation everybody's in with the talent available, but I don't really think it's that bad. Go ahead, Chris.
And now this is gonna sound like, I guess, like from a GM standpoint though.
Yeah.
With the coaching staff that we just talked about, I mean, bro, if the risk that you're taking is that like you don't believe in Lamar to get kills and stuff, and like personally, I do think Lamar brings so much to a team. Like you guys have heard me talk time and time again. I think he's going to bring the best that are probably Vivid. Hopefully Linz, depending on the language barrier. Again, I'm not too sure about that. And I do think this is huge for Wakening, like for Wake to like learn a lot and like, step up his career too. But like, I think if worst case scenario and like this falls apart, like depending on situations and obviously other organizations and stuff, and depending on like where Lamar is at in his career, like bro, like if you're ROKKR and you keep Lamar around, I think, like, I don't know where Lamar is in the sense of what he wants to do in his career, if he wants to coach after or whatever. But, like, I truly think that after Lamar's career is over, whenever it is, I do think he will be a incredible coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that role of, like, just how his personality is and all that stuff, like, I think he has the easiest job of all time. In the sense, like, sliding in and being, like, one of the greatest coaches that you can get. You know what I mean? So it's, like, there's also that angle, too, where, like, if it were to explode, I still don't think I still don't think ROKKR loses if that's what he wants to do, and that's the case. I'm not saying that's what they should bank on, but I also think like worst case scenario, if that was the case and you get Lamar to be a part of your staff, like that might be the biggest W ever if it doesn't. Well, I don't think it's going to. I personally think he's going to help them get really pretty good. But
he's been. This is not the first time he's been a ROKKR though. He was on.
Yeah,
some people might remember
the Cold War.
He was on the team at the beginning of the Cold War season, and like obviously they pivoted a little. When they were horrific.
I don't think Lamar and Dylan were the right duo though either.
So,
I think coaching's a lot different to what people think. I think
the
perception is that if you can read the mini map and you're smart at COD, then you're going to be a good coach. When I think that might actually be about 10% of the job. Trying to hold these 4 players.
Yeah,
maybe less, because trying to keep 4 players together that have 4 different personalities it's pretty difficult.
And being able to have those conversations, like, right? Like, to be able to have those conversations between players, between people, to be like, I feel like that's all pretty important too.
Well, I realize I should talk to Cold War ROKKR team.
Yeah. You want to fight?
Yeah, you got to be with Preston.
I mean, Preston. I mean, you were in that situation, like,
and the
we end up getting one though,
Yeah, it was an amazing one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, probably one of the all timers, but like. I think we all agree. I think people have strong feelings about Lamar. I think there's a good chance. I think this every year, bro, and Zeta happened to your team fucking 2 years ago when you guys built your roster. You guys were the last roster to come together. People were shit talking that team, and you guys are way more consistent than quite a number of teams that have been formed prior to your team earlier on this season. I think there's always sleeper teams, and I think this could be one of them. So I'm very curious to see how well they play.
It could be. And someone said, why would they want Lamar over Attach? I just don't think Attach wants to be a part of them. That's my guess. I don't know if that's true.
Or they want to move on.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they've also been building around Attach for a long time. It seems that they
Yeah.
don't really get the roster that they fully want. You know what I mean? I think this was the year for Minnesota ROKKR when they got Afro, Cammy, and everybody to like make it work. And like, I just feel like it's probably mutual, but I also don't think Attach really wants to probably be a part of that team either. If I could take a guess, like not even saying like in a weird like
probably,
take a
like,
shot at them. I
wants-
think I think he's exploring offers probably himself, right? Like and trying
Probably
to
wants
like
just like a new environment.
that's what I
as well,
mean,
you
just
know
like
what
a
I mean?
new
Like,
switch up. Like I think
Yeah.
it's just like let's get a clean slate here and figure it out again. Like I feel
Well-
like building around Dylan and stuff and like trying to do that. Like also currently with some of the rosters you can make, I also don't think you would get like the best roster that way too. You know what I mean? Like just because of like I don't know. I think it's just like kind of like a mutual split. Like I don't know if Dylan fully would want to be there, maybe, and then also I'm sure that they kind of probably want to move on. I don't know.
Well, let's talk. Which is just a nice segue to move on. Our last Rostermania topic, and we'll take a couple questions. Let's talk about the Seattle Surge, another potential destination maybe for Attach. He's not going to be on this ROKKR team. It was reported by Jacob Hale this week that Rambo Ray will become the new coach of the Seattle Surge, assuming they stay in Seattle and don't go to Vancouver and become the Vancouver Surge or whatever. I'm curious to see what roster Ray puts together. Obviously, there's been a number of rumored players that roster. Linz was one of them, but it seems like obviously that's not happening now. So maybe Abuza, maybe Illy, maybe Arcides. I want to start with you, Chris. What are your thoughts on Ray getting the Seattle gig? Obviously, fresh start. What kind of roster do you think Ray's going to try and put together here?
I don't know what kind of roster he's going to go with because I don't know like exactly. I haven't really sat down and like really looked at like all the options right now, especially now that team just got announced or leaked because of you. But you know,
not to me. What Jake reported? I didn't leak anything.
No,
what are you talking about?
Yeah. But with all that, it's like I don't know what route he will really go, just because like options are slowly thinning here. But like Ray's got a really good mind for Call of Duty. I'm sure he'll figure out like what he wants and like the culture he wants to like form and all that. I am happy to see him obviously find a spot back in coaching because I do think he really enjoys the art of just coaching and managing like that. I think he actually does like it a lot. And so to see him back, kind of doing what he likes is always going to be nice. I don't know though. Yeah, like he's worked well with Hook before, right? They obviously have had success, but at the same time, they also dropped him. You know what I'm saying? Like after they won, like, like that whole thing happened. And like, I don't think any of them like regretted that dropping in a sense. Like it seemed like they were all pretty solidified that like they made the right move back then in Cold War, even after it didn't like fully work out for the rest of the year, obviously. So I don't know if that might happen again. Like I don't know like their relationship there. And then I mean like Illy, he worked obviously pretty well with Illy for a little bit. Yeah, maybe Alec, I'm not sure, but like I don't know what he's gonna do, but I'm assuming he's got something like, planned for sure of like what he wants to do. Like I would be very surprised if he doesn't have something up his sleeve right now to like obviously try and find like one of those rosters. I just don't know kind of how. But I do think it's a good pickup for Surge. I think like them getting him is always going to be like a good start. Having him or a good coaching staff to set that culture will always like be nice to build around, in my opinion. So
yeah, Preston, what are your thoughts on Ray? I don't know I don't think Ray's ever coached you, but I'm curious your thoughts on Rambo Ray, and you think if that's a good app for Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside looking in, I feel like he would be a pretty good coach. I mean, obviously, like I've seen some of their videos that he was in. I think overall, like I think he has a good mind for COD. I don't know which direction they would go for roster wise. I think someone that is still a sleeper pick would probably be Asim because like I feel like he needs the right team around him. I feel like if Asim has the right team around him, he's really gonna do well.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like he's a very team dependent player, which I'm kind of like the same way. So I kind of know like when I'm pretty inconsistent, or I'm doing bad or having a bad year, like I just know like just the team I'm on, it just isn't like clicking. But I think if Asim really has a good team around him, I think he'll pop off. So that's someone that I would definitely look at if I was Rambo.
Yeah. I also think like Asim and Rambo together.
Yeah,
Asim's a very positive, outgoing person for the most part. He's got a pretty good outlook that way.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to play a lot. He puts a lot of time in. I do think someone like Ray, because Ray is also someone, from my experience, that like will tell you what he thinks and tell you how it is, like from his perspective, and he will never back down from that. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing really goes unsaid with Ray. And I think like someone like Asim that could help him. Or sometimes, obviously, depending on your personality. I think Asim's personality, though, he can take criticism really well. Like, I think like that could help him become a better player overall too, depending on his team and how it's clicking. Because as much as I love Asim and I do think he's really good and I think he deserves a spot on the team, and he's honestly a sleeper too, thinking about it now. But like, I do think he needs to find that consistent aspect of his game where like when when things aren't clicking, that does not mean like you just go out there and, go on your own over and over and over and just die. You know what I mean? Like you have to find that medium in that role to like be able to adapt sometimes. Because sometimes also your other sub's going to be taking that from you because they're frying. You need to be able to slow down and like fill in those gaps, right? Like you have to be able to do both. If he I think Ray could help him with that for sure.
Yeah, Ray I think could help, and if he had like one other person that can like help just slow him down in like certain situations, or just like kind of help his gameplay a little bit, I think would help him a lot.
But depending on the team, I think that could be a good shout.
I think Inder can be that guy. When I've talked to Inder's ex-teammates, especially Bruce, like they all still have nice things to say about Inder. I just think there was some stuff going on in that team, and people were just not doing their roles correctly, and they decided to go in a different direction. But when Inder was at his best, like this guy was holding his own. We had Clay and Krim on the team figuring out tactically what they wanted to do. Like whenever I've talked to Clay, it didn't sound like Illy was sitting there in a corner just being quiet. So like I think if Inder goes to this roster combo with Asim and they have some younger players around, like I think that could be a really good core. I do think Ray's gonna have a plan. Ray's a very organized guy. He's gonna kind of have a system that he's gonna want to play. I assume he's learned some lessons because stuff's come out publicly, post his sort of moving on from coaching the Optic team about how the players felt about certain things that he was doing. So I'm sure he'll make some adjustments. I like the move for Seattle. But I'm just curious, like, what the roster is going to be. We haven't heard any. We've heard a lot of rumors that I think are really dumb. Like, so and so is thinking about this player. Like, cool. Like, I think a lot of things during the day. Doesn't mean I'm not going to necessarily do them. So I'm waiting to see a confirmed fourth and kind of what they're going to put together on that team.
What other main ARs are there even out there? I'm trying to even think.
I mean, you have
Alec,
Illy,
Clay,
Alec, Clay.
Yeah.
Right.
You have a lot of people in challengers that are still out there. Beans is still out there.
I mean, Dylan.
Beans is gross, by the way.
Dylan,
Beans, yeah.
Yeah. If Beans,
Zed, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, again, didn't line up because we have Austin and Priestahh, but like, he has so much potential to be an unbelievable player, and the contract he's on is so favorable compared to most of these other players that I'll be so surprised if he doesn't get on a team. I mean, I'm hoping he doesn't because he's good. It'll be a pain in the ass to play against. But, again, I'll be very surprised if he doesn't get on a team. But again, like talking more in Seattle, like one thing I do respect is, the rumor of them going to Vancouver. I mean, I would love if all 12 teams were in their own cities. A big like pain in the ass for us during the off seasons has been like, teams housing their players in Dallas, and like we can't compete with that. Unfortunately, like, unless you pay more, teams aren't going to move to Boston when they can just live in Dallas. Like nobody wants to do that. So like seeing more and more teams now go into their home states. I mean, we visited the Minnesota facility for the Minnesota homestand sound EQ stuff, right? Their facility is gorgeous. They have an incredible facility. So like, I'm so surprised they don't enforce their players actually to live there. Because if I had a facility like that, I probably would.
Well, I mean, Preston might be able to answer that question. Preston,
yeah, go on, Preston.
Preston, when you guys were, I think Minnesota's a nice city, but obviously they have long winters. Was that environment an issue for your team those 2 years?
I will say, like, mentally, it was definitely a lot harder because, like, obviously in Dallas, you don't have super long winters like that, so you can just kind of go outside, get sun, do whatever you want. It's a little bit more beneficial, I guess, for like gamers, especially like if you're in the city, because you can just walk somewhere, 5-10 minutes, get food. But when you're in Minnesota, next to that facility, you're not in the city, and it's super cold, so you can't really walk anywhere. And even if you have a car, like if it's snowing a lot, you don't really want to drive. So I will say, like, mentally, it was a little bit harder than living in a place that was a little bit nicer weather-wise.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason, like, why I would say Dallas would be better than Minnesota specifically.
Yeah, and
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just gonna say it's also tough because like I agree with what like Zed's saying. I also just feel like it also just comes down to online can't be nearly as important then again with like the points and stuff because like that's where a lot of this happens. Is first of all, I'm gonna be honest. I think if you have to live in Minnesota, I think that's almost a negative for a lot of players. I don't think a lot of players want to live there. Personally, that's just like if I was taking a guess, I feel like that would almost be a harder thing for them to sell, that like you have to move to Minnesota. But
compared to the other options that
no,
exist out
that's
there,
what I mean.
It's a nice city, but like
I love the city when we go there, but the winters and stuff, like a lot of players would keep that in mind. 100% would keep that in mind. Like, so it just depends on like that, but even more of that, that's also just a part of the job, and people will accept it anyway. That happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But like, yeah, online can't be nearly as important, because I'm assuming if you go to Vancouver, hypothetically, that is going to be miserable to play from online.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, then you're sitting there, it's like, well, we've started in losers bracket 5 times because I'm playing on fucking 500 ping over here. You know, be like it's just like very hard. And some of the servers, I think we all know in here, some of the servers just don't work. They don't work in Warzone. They don't work in CDL. They don't work ever.
I mean, the Dallas server was
like,
broke for about 6 months.
That's what I mean. So like half the servers don't even fucking work, and I don't know if that's ever going to get fixed. So it's like, that's also a big product of that. It's just like, you don't want to get cheesed out of like really important placing points for that. So it's like, I think that has to be a fix on like the other side of things too, because it would be cool to obviously see that too. Like I definitely get where you're coming from, but it is hard.
Yeah, for
sometimes.
like fan, like we try and do so many activations. We do watch parties. We do all this, and like it'd be super cool if like everyone was doing that. You know, the league could do maybe more stuff. You know, a live feed to all these different teams. But,
it'd be sick.
Yeah, I mean, we're just very fortunate in Boston where, you know, I think you guys can attest, playing us, we're very good online. We've always been pretty fucking good.
Pretty solid.
I think we went 5 for 5 in making winners bracket this season. Could be wrong.
I think you guys did.
We definitely don't struggle online. That's the way I'll put it. We don't struggle. I know some other people do. So I'll be interested to see Vancouver, because that's pretty far away.
But all they have to do is
if the Vancouver thing happens.
If it happens, but even if it's Seattle though, and you're based in Seattle, I don't think they would be based in Seattle too. It'd probably be Texas. My point is like, I just think the online portion just needs to be important to a degree, but not like making champs happens because you're good online. You know what I mean? Like, you should have to go to the lands and like show up and do that stuff. Like the whole nother topic. But I mean, also I also think Boston's a dope city. I actually think that city is fucking awesome.
So 2 things. It's funny you talk about Seattle, considering the last conversation we had with Draza. We were talking about moving from Alaska to Seattle and how much better the internet was and how it was life-changing for him. I agree with you. Boston's a great city. I really enjoyed Major too. Even though it was probably could have been like, and this is no fault of the Boston team. Like, winter in Boston is great. It's out of control that we ended up
that was brutal. That weekend was brutal, dude.
Yeah, no one predicted that, huh?
No.
But here's what I liked about the venue. The venue was a nice part of town. There was a lot of stuff to do. And the one thing that people don't talk a lot about Boston is the food in Boston is amazing. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about like stereotypical like New England seafood stuff that you can get. It's great in Boston, but you can do it in Cape Cod and Maine, whatever. There are a lot of really interesting, cool like restaurants in Boston that are not seafood that we went to, and we had a great time at all of them. Steakhouses as well. Like, as far as the nightlife goes, sometimes with some of the cities we go to, I'm not going to name one, but there's one in Texas that's a little bit tough just where the venue is. Boston was like smack in the middle of things, and I'd be down to go back there. As long as you don't get kicked out by security again. That was...
Yeah.
that was not ideal.
The food's great, and again, to talk more on a tiny bit before we move to questions, is like, try and help build that culture. Preston, we're going to be going out a lot in Boston, so prepare for that. You know, if we go... If we go once or twice a week, go get a nice meal, check out some of the restaurants down there, because they have some good food, and something that Zin begged us to do, and you know, he loves food, so I wish we'd done that.
He loves food.
But yeah.
Listen, Preston, what I ask of you is, I may draft a couple of Patriots players this year, so I need you to do some advanced scouting for me. You know, go across the street, figure out who's playing good, who's playing poor, so I can decide who to start on a weekly basis, and I'll give you like 20% of my winnings.
20%.
I got you.
As Preston's agent, it's 75% or no deal.
Oh yeah. 75, maybe even 80. Maybe
did it? I know, Chris. You got to go in 8 minutes, so I want to actually.
We can go. Really good. Yeah, we can still go. What is 7 o'clock CST? That's 5 my time, right?
7 o'clock what CST?
Yeah, like Central Time is.
That's 8. That's 8 Eastern. That's in an hour from now.
That's an hour from now. Sorry, we have some time.
Okay.
I don't want to go too long.
I got a really good question. I got a really good question in my chat, and it's a perfect question for the 3 of you guys.
Oh God.
Salfonso in my chat asked, "How can fans evaluate the impact of role players have. A lot of us rely on stats and what we hear from pros, flanks, etc. Like, what can fans do? Because it's really tough in those situations. And I want to start with you, Chris, because you did this a lot in your career. Like, how can fans better evaluate from the outside, like what role players are doing, the impact they're providing the teams?
Man, that's a loaded question.
It's a loaded and tough question, but it's a good topic.
No, because there are a lot of people that come to probably your chat. I've had them in my chat, and like, again, stats are really like stats do tell a story. They do. I think we all agree with that, but they also don't tell the full story. And like I've said it before, like the one thing that I think I don't know if anyone would ever understand. Preston is that tell me if you agree with this, but like. Someone's impact in general before anything else that I get into here, playing against them and shooting against them, you can tell their impact no matter what they're dropping, if that makes any sense. Like when you shoot against someone, you could tell how hard of a kill certain people are just because like, bro, you just like look at people and you're like, damn, that was a nice shot. Even when you kill them, you're like, how the fuck did he make me one shot? You know what I mean? Like there's like some people that like do that. Would you agree? Both of you? Like you think that's like a fair test? I don't think that's like, I think that might be one thing that never gets understood. But to answer the question, like, look at the mini map. Yeah, like, there are a lot of things that, like, you will see. Man, I could spend, like, 2 hours talking about this. Goddamn.
It's a good question. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but, like, there's a lot of stuff that happens on the mini map that you see. Oh, bro, I want to pull up so many scenarios right now that, like, I know from my own team and other teams where I've like just know some players are faded.
Well, but like, Lamar's a good one, right? We were talking about it earlier, right? Lamar doesn't need to be fucking MC on the team. That's not what he's there.
So people are asking, some people have their roles. Yeah,
contribution
for sure. Like, so you have your roles for sure, and you're still gonna have to do your slaying and stuff. But like, when you watch, like for example, sub players be able to go rogue, like. If like Hydra is I can use Hydra I guess too, or like even a BZ, like any of the players. Like if Hydra goes out on like a fortress hardpoint and does like a flank while like there's 10 seconds left going from P2 to P3, and he flanks the right side street where they're spawning while like Preston, Skies, and Kismet are all like over like obviously rotated. Like Hydra doing that flank is only as impactful as the other players on his team playing the positions that like. If he gets these kills, they don't spawn there. You know what I mean? Like blocking spawns, filling in gaps. Like, when you get 3 kills off the spawn, like a big thing, a big play that people would do, I guess, on like Berlin hardpoint is like, P1. Preston, I think you know what I'm talking about. Like you get kills, they're spawning fire on P1 to Berlin.
Yeah. You
could now push in front of those guys that are coming out of fire, which is the quickest route to the hill, and get a kill or two and then die. Or like get one person one shot, but not get the kill and die. And then like someone else will trade that. That's probably more impactful than you like sliding over to the right and shooting 2 people in the back, but the 2 people off spawn run by you and actually get to the hill. You see what I mean? Like the way like you play your kills and all of that stuff is like super, super important to like what you see. And like there's also places where like there's times where like when people are coming off spawn, like people run by the person that's lurking. Those 2 people that ran by get the kill out of the hill, but then the guy that let them run by shoots 2 people in the back. Technically speaking, he got a better KD from it, but like, did that hurt the team or not? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many scenarios of like that. So it's all mini map, bro. Like to answer the question without going deep down is just like watching the mini map and seeing how impactful people's arrows are to like what they're doing and all that stuff. Because like,
you have to be able to understand what's like, you can watch the mini map and not understand what is actually impactful. So like, you actually have to like kind of understand it, or else you're never gonna understand. I don't know how to explain it. Like,
it's just
if like say like P3 Hydra, right? P3 Hydra to P4, you're spawning in the back, like in back blue or whatever. If someone's taking a route to flip the spawns at like 40 seconds, 35 seconds,
he ain't getting a kill doing
he's not gonna get really. He's not getting kills doing that. While your other team are just running at the hill trying to kill over and over again.
Kills.
And guess what? The guy that made the best play was the one taking the route that got no kills, and he just flipped the spawns going to new, and you got scrap time. So it's like,
like the guy that got the 2-piece in scrap time, like that 2-piece in scrap time resulted in 15 seconds to 20 seconds, which is important. But if someone doesn't take that route to go around the right, that scrap time doesn't fucking matter because they get full 60 on the next hill. You see what I mean? Like there's just so much more.
Because that route could set you up for a 60.
Like, and that route though takes you out of the play for 30 to 40 seconds, and then you sit in the corner and do nothing, and you probably get 1 kill out of that. So like you get 1 kill out of that, or you get none. Say you die, but you make the right play and you just die doing it. Now that hurts your KD. Technically, it hurts your KD. But like you were making the best play for your team. You know what I mean? Like there's so much other stuff. Like it's not just routes, man. But like, oh, bro, there's just
Usually there's like one or two people that are kind of like setting up the other players. Like we can give another example on Hydra. Like on P3, like someone's usually sitting in the back blocking it, while there's like people pushed out front, killing people off the scrap time. Like, killing people off old, like playing rat spots. But like you're super impactful in the back doing nothing. But the other people that are pushed out getting the kills are obviously going to look better because they're getting the kills, statistically wise.
Yeah.
So you have to like it's all mini map, but you still have to understand who's making those important plays. Like there's no other way around it.
What do you think, Zed? I know we could talk about this for like 5 more hours.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I watch. If you compare it to traditional sports, basketball, American football, there's people doing stuff, that you have. Like me personally, I have no idea what they're actually doing, but they're incredibly impactful in their job. They're role players and whatever. So if you kind of compare it, it's like kind of the same. It's like, and I feel like unless you're a very high level knowledge in COD or you've played, it's going to be very difficult to understand. And unless people deep dive, and there's definitely shows out there, the Flank, Scump Show, they definitely go into detail with some stuff. It's always good to pay attention and try and get more understanding of what's going on. I mean, I was a role player myself, so I kind of, on that Unilad team when we beat FaZe at Anaheim, GG's, both of you.
That's what we're bringing up right now.
We definitely didn't.
Oh, that's crazy.
With gun skill. That's what I'm saying.
No, but you guys were a good team though. Yeah, you guys had like weirdly good teamwork.
Alex was gross.
Yeah. No, I mean, but that's what it just comes down to. It's just like, bro, every play that is made on a COD minimap is only as impactful as the next guy next to them making the right play behind him. Of course, like, gun skill and stuff, you have to win some 2v1s and get some pieces, of course. But like, there's just so many things. Like, yeah, bro, if you're pushed out on a fortress and you're like in their maps, but someone's not blocking the back of P4, all right? Every kill that you got killed in maps, you could use my team as an example. How many times did you watch Atlanta FaZe this year get a bunch of kills and then they spawn behind us? All those kills that they got didn't fucking matter because there was not someone doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, that happened a lot. Yeah. Like, that's my point. Like, bro, if that happens, like, again, like, those are super impactful kills up there in the slaying power because you need those to win and you need those to be a dominant team. But you also need someone fucking holding the goddamn back, like, or like blocking this, or just like doing nothing, or watching this, making sure no one crosses to the left, or like, or when they push out, like, do they push out the right way, or do they let 3 people run fucking by them before they get a kill? Like, that happens a lot too. Like, there's just so much shit to it. So it's like, yeah, like, a lot of it just comes down to minimap awareness and just seeing like what happens on these plays and like spawns and like all the other things. And like, the more and more you watch it, and I'm sure like Zed, Preston, even Ben, like, even myself, like you actually ask questions like that. A lot of people that stream Scump, the breakdown, the Flank, Ben, Ed, Preston, anyone, like, if you ask a question like that, a lot of the times, like, you'll get a pretty good answer. So it's like, it's just like trying to learn more and more. And then you also don't hear comms, and you also don't know teams' game plans too. Like, there are some game plans too that, like, you can watch the minimap and be like, what the fuck are they doing? But like, that's just like what they've tried to do as a team. You know what I mean? Like, it just depends. So yeah, but minimap is at the end of the day the most important, I think.
I agree. I think one of the difficulties that esports has is there isn't as much press done around the teams from like a pre and post game strat, right? Like, NFL teams do a lot of pre-game work. For example, about the NFL, you ever hear like Tony Romo talking on NFL broadcasts about the conversation he had with, so-and-so QB before the game and so-and-so coach, and speaking of certain plays are happening because that's the game plan in the meeting that they had on Wednesday and Thursday. You don't really have that in esports. Like, sometimes the casters do talk to teams and give them context, but most of that's a little bit more closed off. And I think that doesn't really help because you don't really get to ask the teams, oh, well, did you execute your game plan well today? You don't really get an opportunity to get an answer to that question like you do in sports, which you get to ask pretty much after every game they play.
Yeah. No,
it's just different because in esports you can just give away too much. I feel like if you said like you can't really say your game plans, especially on the internet, because like say you tell someone and then someone says your game plan and it gets clipped and it goes on the online and then the other team's looking at it and they're like, okay, well now we can work off that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, so it's hard. It's hard to like break down like that. It's even like when we're doing this, like I don't have time to do this, and obviously this is not the proper place to do this, but I would love to pull up some VOD right now and just talk about a few plays like from like older CODs, just like because now we can talk about it freely. But yeah, it's also hard too because it's like at the same time you don't want to explain some stuff and explain why that's a bad play, because a lot of players also have tendencies that like you might not agree with. And, like, you're not trying to help people at all. You know, it's hard to like kind of walk that line sometimes. Like, but yeah,
Chris, you gotta pull up Tommy's play from a St. Marie hard point. That was a big fucking breakdown that one day. You might know the play I'm talking about.
I don't even know what you're talking about right now. Did I roast him?
It was a play you made on a P2 St. Marie that
I know where P2 St. Marie is. What about it? What do you do?
Tommy made one of those Tommy cutoff plays, and you were not happy with that because they spawned in the back, and it was like a whole fucking breakdown. But like to your point of like that incident being fucking hilarious, and in retrospect, actually after that day, I think that was one of the big days that got us better in Hardpoint World War II. I agree with to the whole thing of context matters with teams. Some of it is teams can do a better job, I think, messaging that out. I like when teams like ROKKR, I know Chris, your team has started to do it now. And I know Zed, you guys have done it sometimes in messaging to your community, you know, after matches, like here's what went on, here's what we did great, here's what we didn't do. I think that really helps keep people informed. I don't think the veil of secrecy thing that's always existed in esports kind of helps a lot of these situations. Now, sometimes I think it hurts it, but to your point, Preston, you can't go open the door on every strat because people, you don't want to speak on S&D tendencies on specific players because that's really useful information to every other team that's going to play the rest of the season. I've had this conversation with Clay like a bunch of times because Clay does this every year. He goes on stream afterwards and say like, oh, we won. Chris, like you guys won champs in AW, right? You guys had tells, I think, on TR. There were a bunch of different teams that you guys knew like what they were doing in S&D based on what they threw nades over certain spots. I've talked to Clay about this a lot. And,
I mean, yeah. I feel like every team. I feel like every team nowadays kind of gets that to that point now. You kind of with how serious and how much time you have to prepare for matches and stuff. I feel like the tells and stuff of that, and especially in Search and Destroy, are not that. And then, honestly, a lot of the times in Hardpoint, everyone kind of has the correct idea, especially towards the end of the day, end of the game of like what to do and how to do it. It's just doing it, and then also getting the kills too. At the end of the day, like you can go to the right side of the map. If you get gunned, you also lose. Like that's why like stats and kills do matter. But like it's also doing it at the right time and then, like when you want to do it and like how you want to do it too. So it's just like it's just like a hard thing to break down, but it is a fun one, and it's just like I don't know.
Yeah,
trust me.
What are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, Tommy. What play is he talking about, Tommy?
Yo, what play is he fucking talking about?
P2, bro.
I don't remember this at all.
I don't know what.
I'll tell you. Look,
P2.
Right, I remember one play on Ardennis Forest. Oh, I mean, I remember a lot of plays. I remember one Forest. I got mad at Dylan because he was sitting on the tank with a sub, and I told his ass to start moving. I remember that. But like,
we might need to get
hold on. Let me just say this. I've definitely made some fucking questionable fucking
of course.
plays.
Yeah.
But there's one play that was astronomically bad, and Lamar knows this play because this was a
What
Lamar
play?
moment. And if
Modern Warfare 2019?
No, this was Hackney. Yes, this was Modern Warfare 2019. Hackney, I think it was Hardpoint. And it was you know how like the P2 hit was like fucking OP as fuck?
Yeah.
Like you literally couldn't break it.
Yeah,
It was like a money
it's impossible.
hit.
Like impossible to flip. It took like 17 kills to flip the back.
Exactly what you just said. It's impossible to flip. Yeah, I flipped it. Yeah, I was going so rogue, but I flipped it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was just in green, just going crazy. I was getting mad. I was just piecing them, but just spawning them there, and then he's just losing fucking full. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, a big thing too.
That was my biggest fuck up for sure.
But like that happened.
Like, you weren't blocking, boy.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
right?
See how that goes over with Lamar. You should have just blocked my fucking spawn.
Yeah, like you knew I was pushing out, bro. Why are you
I blacked out though. That's the thing, though. I blacked out. We went back to go listen to the comms, and I wasn't even speaking. I was blacked out.
You're just absolutely in a fucking matrix.
Yep. No teamwork, bro.
Preston also knows this too, but there's also times like around like the 30-second mark of like hard points. It's a little different now with some of these spawns. Ben, your mic's picking something up, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Very good. There's also sometimes with the spawns and stuff though, like if you all spawn at 30 seconds in a hypothetical world, all four of your teammates, like, or like, you know, like you spawn at 30, two people spawn at 29, and one person spawns at 28, like pretty close together. Like the timing of those seconds are like everything. And like actually everything for the most part. Not every time. Again, certain games are different. But like the timing of what those four people do can change everything. If the guy that spawns
the routes they take, right?
Yeah, the guy that spawns at 27 seconds and the guy that spawns at 30 seconds, literally the two routes that they take, depending on like if the guy at spawned at 30 like goes a certain way and the guy at 27 tries to make up for the mistake that the guy at 30 spawned and goes at that 3-second difference is the difference of a really good team, another elite team, making the right play at the right time and beating him there and getting that kill. And like timings like that.
Just throws all the timings out.
Yes, timings like that and like those 2-second gaps of like someone actually doing it is terrible. And there are players that spawn up and don't look at that shit and say, I'm hitting scrap time because I'm going to go get kills because I'm the fucking GOAT. And then there are players that spawn up at probably the wrong time that have to make up for someone else that spawned up before them to make the right play. And now they're playing a harder game because now they're rotating a couple seconds behind that should have already been done. They should have been set up to rotate or make this play or lurk at the old tail and get a 2-piece, but instead someone else selfishly did it. And then like now this person's playing a harder game because now they're taking a fight that's mistimed, that it's going to be harder for them. And like there are players that are smart enough to rotate and know that. So like, bro, there's so much to it, bro.
We talked about that a lot this year on P3 on a hotel. I feel like there are a lot of easy examples I can point to and educate people of like people getting set up hard on that hill because their teammates are trolling the rotation. They need to fight the fucking war in kitchen because they have no help.
Bro, I will say there are some, like in this game specifically, dude, there were times where I would spawn up and go to take a route and my teammate would spawn in front of me as I'm taking the route. And I'm like, what the fuck?
See, that's why some of these games are a little different too, because shit like that happens where you can't like, and sometimes, but sometimes, bro, if you didn't take that route though, Preston, he wouldn't have spawned there. Sometimes he like squad spawns on you and you're like, what the fuck? Like now my route's chalked and now, but now you have to react at that moment. How can you react? What's the best thing I can do for my team now? Do I keep rotating or do I cut back to the left? Like,
because like squad spawns and traditional spawns, it's pretty easy. Like, because you know where people are going to spawn on your team. But like this game specifically, like obviously majority of the time you can kind of tell where people are going to spawn, but there were weird times where like you would go to take a route and your teammate's just spawning on the route you're about to take. So you're like, what the fuck? And then you have to reroute. It's like, what the hell?
But also, like as dumb as it sounds, it takes like smarter players to make the right plays in those decisions. Like as well, like that shouldn't be a thing. And trust me, if you want me to argue about how shit some of the CODs have been recently, I could do that forever too. But like it does again. Like a lot of that comes down to communication and teamwork and stuff too. So it's just like, there's so much to it. Man, what a fucking loaded question. I love that question. I wish I wasn't a coach so I could go deep into that question forever and never stop talking. But
once you're retired, we can do a whole roundtable on it. I think that's a good place to end. Obviously, appreciate Tom coming in and barging in because I talk shit about him. Zed, appreciate you coming in last minute as well.
Yeah, Zed, you're always invited, dude. You're always invited, bro. I like special guests. Even Tommy, bro. I like the special guests.
I wasn't sure if I would never know. I asked.
No, you could barge in here as much as you want, bro. I don't care.
I don't want to be that guy.
No, it's fun.
It's like the front door.
But you bring the vibes though, you know.
Yeah, you bring the vibes.
Sometimes.
But go fuck yourself, Ben.
Go fuck yourself too, Tom. Preston, obviously appreciate you. I was speaking today. Preston, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a busy man these days. You're full.
Go back to the beach, asshole. Go back to the fucking beach, asshole.
I'm gonna do the outro for the fucking podcast. Stop interrupting me, Tom. How about that?
My bad.
Yeah, all right. Shut up, bitch. All right. All right. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you so much for watching the show. If you want to see video versions of this, my VOD will be available. Chris's VOD's available. You can also go to Chris's YouTube. Chris, let everyone know your YouTube channel.
It is Crowder YT, baby. We're growing every single time. Crowder YT, youtube.com/CrowderYT. Subs are going crazy and the podcast has been doing great. So we appreciate you guys obviously watching and dropping subs, man. You guys have been the best.
And if you want to listen to all the audio versions of the podcast, you can go to anchor.fm/scrap time. We're there on all your favorite platforms. And let me know if we're missing any. Because there's always like weird edge platforms that I've never heard of. That they just add new hooks in that tool and then people tweet and we add them in. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. I don't know what we're doing. We'll probably do another one next week. I have some ideas on people to bring on. So
wait, who do you guys want to see as a guest? Who do you guys want to see as a guest, chat?
Yeah.
Who do you guys want to see?
Let us know, and we're gonna keep doing. We're gonna keep doing these afternoon shows. I think these afternoon shows in the off season have been hitting. So we're gonna keep doing them. I like the morning shows, but they were definitely tougher to get guests on. You know, like Tommy would never do 8 a.m. West Coast time. I know that.
Hell no.
No, I mean these are definitely easier for me too now.
I was up till 4 a.m. playing Rocket League and opening CS cases, bro. I
saw you got a knife, bro.
I got 4 knives, bro. 4.
All right. Well, we'll talk about.
Yo, let me get one.
Ben, you got sunburn all over your face. You're sunburned. All right, end the show, bro. You're burned, bro. Go get some aloe.
I appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.